Hi, my name is Caridad Svich. I'm a playwright, and I'm also a translator, an editor, a lyricist, and I wear many other hats in the arts. Today, I'm speaking to you virtually as part of the Theater and Drama Network Conference, third annual online conference. And the subject of my remarks today are playwriting at the end of the world, capitalism's folly. We will say in the future that the revolution will be televised, but when it is televised, we will render ourselves before the capture, enraptured, complete. Look at the future that was foretold. Look at the future bleak. This future was foreclosed, said Mark Fisher, said Simon Reynolds. We have been sold to the highest bidder. The price of capitalism was our very lives and the life of the planet itself. This future sold bright, not bright. This future on our multiple screens is the one that reminds us daily of who we used to be. The remnant class. The digital monsters mid the digital debris. But the future is also what we dream, even when we are told by rentier capitalists that own our data, by which they mean ourselves, that our dreams are meaningless because they too will be uploaded like a Cronenberg chip implanted in their grand, artificially intelligent, deceptively ecocidal scheme. But what of our scheme? How can we steal back from the virtual, to quote a title from one of my plays, the lives taken from us, and the ones so many of us in the so-called first world have willingly given up to appease capitalist neoliberalism's folly? What does a theater look like that acknowledges this, our ritual/feast? I want to tell you a story about the next 100 years. The story will be told in a stream. It will be a series of tracks laid down in an order that will need to be decoded by a discerning audience, learning to rehear what has become routine. Here is a note saved to the self. Here is a song heard once on a stream. Here is a thought uttered late night when no one is watching. Here is a meme. Here, too, is the audience playing along, unrehearsed or semi-rehearsed, joining the actors in midst of play, taking up the performance score, because the score is the body of performance, and through it we live. But this life cannot be taken for granted. Keeping the score means minding the store, means rendering the future something to be crafted in the present act of performance through digital and live means. The audience is there, but also here. Welcome. The shared space goes beyond the finite walls of bricks and mortar, colonized by real estate. Is it a real estate? Who chooses what is real when reality is both here and there, both alive and alive? When co-presence means more than seeing you surveilled and seeing me. In a commercial and commercially aspiring theater industry, predicated on value for the money, the adventure for the next 100 years shall be to decouple the prestige purchase price of a ticket, and send it sailing, transmediated. Because all theater is media, and always has been since the stage first was demarcated as a stage, and the invisible body of theater was the electric signal that countered the noise of the world, the chaos of the world, the living through chaos, which we breathe, that countered the noise of the world through word, gesture, song. Set loose in the circuits, the transmedial experiment of a play is one made through a collective gesture, even if those gestures are semaphoric signs. But what is a play? When the world is at an end, when people are living through an age of extinction right in their face, when the awareness of mortality is ever present, simply by the act of breathing increasingly toxic air. There is playwriting at the end of the world, and in the end of the world there will be playwriting. That is to say, there will be the desire to record the days and stage the stories of our lives and of those of our fellow living things. Because the act of writing and subsequent performance is one that imagines a future, even if that future is precarious and at odds with the self-destructive, accelerationist death drive fueling most of the dictates and maneuvers of the current global ruling elite. To make a play is to defy the odds. To say, we are here, we will be here, we will survive? Question mark. Even after our passing, because the act of making a play is one that inscribes its own haunting. Every play is, in a sense, its own ghost, and the theater is lit, after all, by ghost light. To write now is to write with the knowledge of other endings, how other extinctions occurred in history. By the way, contemporary plays are also history, and or were forced upon people and things. The earth broke open, the seas parted, the tragedy of being was present in the struggle to resist erasure. To write is to remember, and to put back together the shards of what once was whole. Maybe the illusion of wholeness, but let's run with that idea. In a world atomized by the atomic age and the specter of nuclear fallout, it may seem quaint to speak of the Anthropocene when it is the Capitalocene, as defined by Jason Moore, that has gotten us to this end point, or series of end points, whose markers of finitude keep protracting daily. Shall I live in this ending or another? What shall I call an uninstagrammable life? Which cinematic universe will render our stories complete? Can we return to the universe, please, the real one, before it is too late? To write in this ending is to write with emergency on our minds, and with it, the possibility of emergence, should it wish to be seen. It's not enough, however, to proselytize the beauty of emerging, of rising from the veritable ashes, if the work of seeing, of reckoning, of staring down the endings in our midst is not done. False emergence is equivalent to the false goalpost of easy arrival, riding on the wings of ersatz hope rather than hard-won care. And it is in caring that a future may arrive. To care, to really care, demands an acknowledgement of grief and of possible complicity in the shared ending thrust upon us by us, even if we are not in power. Who holds the reins of the narrative that claims us? What have we done? Will we do to survive? How many casualties will we bear as necessary, in quotation marks, to justify an emergent thesis? How many times will we say abolition without putting our souls on the line? No one gets out alive, is a saying. But outside of its doomsday prediction, can we tease out the aliveness of alive as we trace our songs in the sand? There is a theater under the sand, said Federico Garcia Lorca, many years ago, when his impossible theater was murdered by the brutes that upheld tyranny. Underneath the false castles and glass towers and steel beams of so-called progress, under the sand, another theater can be born, one reliant on different means, an ecologically conscious theater, an accessible one, truly accessible for all, one that looks nothing like the hollow markers of capitalism that seduce us with its prizes and schemes. One that doesn't get to say what is or isn't a play, but rather understands that plays simply are restless, strange beings, riddled with texts, oral and visual, that sometimes say no thing, nothing, a la Beckett, and by doing so say mean nearly all things. In the no thing, all things are possible. The making of meaning in theater often occurs against the capriciously onerous demands for legibility enacted by the international marketplace. Theater is its own thing, but it is not outside of the world in which it is made. In a world thus of endings, it is an ending. Theater is an ending. It marks it with its own signs, and by doing so, signals toward a vanishing posterity. The ghostly pages of the textual score that speak across the years to future audiences and collaborators. A play made of endings. Only endings. A series of deaths, a litany of extinction, a simultaneous recording of births. Theater holds us in its catalog of remembrances, the stories of acorns and trees, poisoned dolphins and vengeful orcas, tawdry scandals, and lack of accountability for those that have wronged and made these end worlds. Writing the emergency means writing the emergence. Writing the chaos means riding the chaos at one and the same. Trusting that the radiant child will tell the events of how they were made to shoulder the burden of centuries upon their shoulders when all they wanted to do was dance and sing. Here is an excerpt of one of those songs, one of those word things that happen in living and writing chaos in the theater. This is from a piece called Minotaur, a new piece of mine. Its themes will be apparent. The Minotaur sits facing the audience and begins as such. Witness. It won't take long. We'll be gone soon, you and me. We'll be the last warriors, like in the movies, and people will say they were heroes, and they won't really know what they mean. They will just be repeating things, like everyone else does these days, experts at received speech. You'll be there. I will be here. It will be a classic duel framed in black and white, old school like in the old days. We'll look at the camera, pausing for effect, and then there will be a blast. Everyone will jump. Everyone will jump. And when we do, we will smile. We will be framed in glory. It will be remarkable. A tale told on a wintry night, 100 degrees Fahrenheit. No one will know what hit them. It will be like we were destined for greatness. And the flies will have a feast upon our dead bodies. Gather round, dear children, see what you must eat. The bodies of warrior beasts, our eyes and feet, our tongues and teeth will be the stuff of legend. As the children gorge on our entrails and make a run for their next class. High marks for everyone in their reports from history. We are merely here, snorting the last of the last batch we will ever receive. Cut me a line, treat me. I'm going to pass out and sing a song for a century. I am being what I should be. I don't believe in anything. I am a product of my age. The perfect shell of capital and all its isms. In this late time in which we live, there is no other way to be. A story of phantom heroics, dead children, and thirst for what can be retrieved. But I hear a sound. Well, that is the sound of troops fighting the same battles on the same screens. You get used to it after a while. The sound of war is in every room. It is the entertainment that fuels all streams. Iconic photographs go viral, set to move people to empathy. The photographs of the maimed rush humanity to its knees. But us, we are not moved. We have long since stopped being moved by anything. It is a beautiful curse, some say, to be like us. The transcendent class, the kings, queens, and queens, the fiery stars destined for one last round around the sun. Oh, yes, there is always an and yet, hurtling through the chaos of our pedigree. We snort the ecstasy that drives our dreams. Cat-like, mollified, the very genus of spectral derangement. Testing, 1, 2, 3. Okay, little mofo, settle down. I see where this is going. Lo and behold, the ghosts of the present want a bite of our flesh. They seek the royal warrior class like they seek the tits of their long-lost parents. Such cries are heard throughout the centuries. If I had a dime for every time someone came up to me asking for a drop of mercy, I'd be far richer than I am. Instead, I am a statue. I am an island, cast out on this rock, this vaulted promontory, like an actor from days gone by, an aging queen, a synthetic hero, a bull-like figure, ready to tear through the city. Mark my words, make it plain, the one you seek, the one said to be a minotaur, is but a vanished soul. Left to devices, long since incinerated in the dustbin of a junket made by a junk man of intelligence deemed artificial. Such were the days once of novel interests in the ghosts in the machine. Volumes writ about their dangerous and wondrous apparition. Behold a new age of post-human sorcery, built on the tongues of impoverished people, whose parts our extractive juices for our tall tales of bloody history. And if you don't believe this, then you must be one of the zombies of the current apocalypse. Pity the party that greets you every day in your hallucination of reality. Our spectral selves are like this rock that shelters us. Trust in it. Bow to it. Give it your all. You must have something in your arsenal, or you wouldn't be here on this mission. Spoken like a true protege, before you slice into the Minotaur with your hungry eyes. Be my lover from another galaxy, shorted of their craving. Shored up by belief, a belief in empires and civilizations is your credo? Don't lie to me, sweet mofo. We know each other too well. We have entertained carnal schemes between the sheets. The wailing catastrophe of the current climate is the chaos you breathe. You, dear someone dearly beloved, in this vampiric vision we call life, are like a messenger from the gods. Plural. Like the good book never said, stop clinging to your mantle of innocence. We're all whores here, brutalizers, brutalizing the earth's ancient dust. Take a walk on this, the wildest side, this side of Mars. You won't be sorry. Yet you have come in perpetuity, a fossil from the vampiric hordes on a mission to render the Minotaur useless. Listen up, pal, take it from me, speaking as them, I have been useless from day one. Even the cradle robbed me of sleep. Piss poor soldier, a lousy lover, a fool to the other kings, queens, and queens. I am merely a passenger in this excrement we call life. Buckle up. Rev up your engines. Play the tune out of tune on your meager recorder. Testing, 1, 2, 3. Is that my voice? You hear? Through the skeleton trees. I am civilization itself, decrepit, ready to fail. Emblematic of the cycles of birth, growth, decay, and death. In my visage, the future will be justified, and all the beasts of the field will play. There is sound. There is a sound again. The bones of the warriors under my feet. They sing their last goodbyes on the wings of bullets and screams, too fanciful for you. I speak in riddles. You may have noticed by now. Such is the way of empire. It speaks in two modes, riddles and platitudes, and when it tires of both, it speaks in the language of crime itself. My tongue lets blood. It is extreme. But tell me again, dear person, why are you here? Category of a person, noun, description, human being, whether adult or child, distinguished from an animal or being, individual, non-plural, yet plural in temporalities. The person you seek is not here. They were destroyed some time ago. Whatever life you seek is mere ruin complete. Oh, yes, there was always an and yet. It is said a person called Minotaur lived here once. Or were they a person beast? Bay they were in the sheen of divine prophecy, a leader of people, a savior on a placard, the stuff of late-night liquor bets made on stolen dreams. Imagine such a person lifted for the sake of democracy when it was only a shell game for its very souls. The late wars, the universalities of destruction, sought to demonstrate the solidarity of humankind. Mechanical inventions bolstered this alliance worldwide. On these broad and unstable grounds, optimism was the guiding principle of chaos. It was its agent supreme, not hope. Optimism. Such a reckless cast of scoundrels, the mad ones of the mad universe. They tossed words about like pieces of silver to confuse the peasantry. In the punishing days of old and new feudalism, optimism was sold. Optimism was sold like soap. It marched through the screens like the shiniest parade, gleaming in its honeysuckle scent, while hope was shut tight in a closet, whimpering like a stepchild in a story. The person you seek, whether they be person or beast, the Minotaur is not here and never will be. If you have it on good authority, The warmongers and paparazzi back in the city must have given you a line. Tell them from me. They are the horniest bastards that have ever graced this planet. Their authority is worth half a penny. Nothing more. The person said to have been here is no longer a noun. They have become electricity, by which I mean they have become like air, static, on the breeze, a pulsing current signifying itself only, a nostalgic tune blasting from what once was a car radio, a blistering melancholy puss attached to the easy consolations of false hopes. Authority be damned. I was hoping we could play a game of passion. Call down the deities, trip the light, all kinds of fantastic in this here enchanted isle. In this theater, it's mere scenery, but under the light, through the glitch of history. Its enchantments are plenty. This island, this den, this stage of impunity has hosted all the warriors from all the centuries. This is their playground. This isle, this promontory, this rock, but also in the blink of an eye, this ranch, this desert, this electric highway. We are in simulacra, baby, and its addictions are plenty. Stick out your tongue. Let me drop a tab on your rosy veins. This is one trip where you won't be sorry. Biding your time, playing the long game. The ticking clocks of wars won't wait for you forever. They'll kick you down the road, seek out another warrior, another soldiering bass player that can march to the tune of clear and present chaos. You'd do wise to follow my lead. And if you're looking for Che, remember Che. Che is dead, been dead a long time. Their body was found in a small town in a southern city, cut up in bits. A barbaric tragedy, an execution by any other name discreet. Che is mere emblem, a phantom revolutionary. What they stood for has been lost downstream. Where once was a body, now is just a T-shirt, a mock image, a symbol of a time long ago, usurped by the many moons of digital debris. The question is, why do you still want to follow their lead? What's in it for you or me? What were you doing when they cut Che up and threw their flesh onto a stone slab for the entire world to see? What were you doing, dear children? Don't stand there like a ghost. This is our party. But it's not always the clear and present chaos of the Minotaur, even if we're living it. In this end world, I want to tell you a story about the next 100 years. The next 100 years is a performance score I have written to be played in spaces and places that needn't be designated theater, including digital spaces. In collaborating with director Dermot Daly across distance and time, through variegated temporalities, this theater piece is one that reckons with the now. In its hollow foreclosure of the future, by suggesting that holding on to a viable dream, anti-fascist, anti-capitalist, anti-ableist, anti-colonialist, collective future is possible. Who will we be in the next 100 years, marked already by cascading illness, corporate malfeasance, organized abandonment, forced austerity, and negligence as global policy? Denial is a drug sold to the unaware as a panacea to refuse to engage with the hard reality that work must be done, and that the labor of performance is also work and not a frivolity. Theater is a medium, by which I mean that theater is transmission, transmutation, transformation, transfiguration, seance, that asks actors and audience to play the ghosts of the past and the present as a way of understanding what a future means and how it is in our hands. In our bodies, spectral and corporeal, to take to the virtual and physical streets with the knowledge that the streets are also scenes and non-scenes. In media, always res. In media, always in the middle, unresolved, refusing the well-made. Birthed in the 19th century as a cage to contain Western drama's supposedly Eurocentric meaning, disregarding non-Western modes of understanding. Here in the world of the small planet, in memory of Eleanor Fuchs, another world is made. But this other world, if it is divorced entirely from the tethers of the hollow age of spectacle, enacts instead a reverse magic trick. It sets theater apart, casting it off as an island easily engulfed by the storms of so-called progress. Beware the tempest before us. Best not be so apart as to be easy pawns in the shell game that has already made hash of our lives in these new dark ages, wherein we dance to the beat of drummers ready to instill hate. Let's not let theater be utilized as an instrument of pacification in stagnated and arrested times that seek to arrest us from making necessary adaptations and change to forestall human and other living species extinction. The planet is burning. The ecology of theater and performance cannot withstand the next 100 years unless it compels itself to imagine different ways of doing things. In the next 100 years, time will no longer move in a straight line. It will be a circle, and we will gather in circles to remind us of what it was like to be people listening to stories. This is a story, even if you don't think it's a story. This is a story without a beginning, middle, and end, because our lives ended a long time ago. Our lives were always between endings. Take my hand. It's okay. We can live this story together. Thank you.